recent campaign that we've done is actually for women in tier 2 India. Okay. And the phenomena that we've observed there is a lot of these women actually use shopping apps as a secondary screen almost. So even if they're watching content on some other screen, whether it be a television or some other screen that they're using, they actually use their phone to browse for products. A lot of them, if you talk to them, they say that we find interesting stuff at prices which are not that prohibitive, right? And sometimes some of these tend to be quite unique. The products tend to be quite quirky. I actually get a lot of compliments for these small products that I buy, which might not even be very expensive. Secondly, the other thing which came out is that a lot of this shopping is not something which is planned. You might have actually entered the app to say, you know what, I bought a kurta last week. Let's see what's trending right now. But just because of the way you enter that rabbit hole, you might end up, you might start coming, you might come in for a kurta, but end up looking at something which is used to peel carrots. But that's broadly where you've entered and you've bought that product. Again, that's broadly how interesting shopping is as a journey. It's not a ride. It's probably, I think it's not a journey. It's more like a ride. You just go and see where this ride takes you. And that's probably the insight that we got interacting with a lot of women. And that's probably where this campaign is, where every single day there's something new that they come up with, which it's like a camaraderie on a rooftop that two women are enjoying. And every single day they discover a new product which makes the interaction that much more better. And eventually it results in a situation where everyone wants to be part of the kind of camaraderie that the two women are enjoying. And it's enabled because you're finding all of these interesting products along the way. So that's broadly what this is. The rap came along as an interesting treatment. It's not rap. It's a story of two women who are in probably, if you look at the setting also, it looks like tier 2 India. And the rap just felt interesting. It's not English. It's actually a very local kind of dialect, and that's broadly why, yeah, we went with that. So summer is an important period for us where we do have a summer portfolio, which extends across categories. I think ACs are one of our most important categories, which are very seasonal in nature, right? So what we have done also is we've had again a mass campaign on ACs, which is just people who are. Uh, it's almost to say that when it's very hot. Okay, the insight is when it's very hot outside, you typically tend to also be slightly irritable. Okay. And so there is this whole campaign around Garmi Kare Sabka Dimag Fry. And hence Flipkart has brought in cooling days where you get the best deals for AC. So that's a mass campaign that we do. The second observation that we've also had is there is a younger audience, okay, who in whatever, and I'll give you some data on that. Gen Z as a segment for us, okay, it's not only for us, but as a segment for anyone out there in terms of a buying TG is growing. And what we've also tried to do is we've tried to see how we can grow that specific segment across categories for us. So right now, more than 40 or around 40 to 45% of our overall customer base is Gen Z. That's broadly where we are. And even in these categories, we felt that there is a need to talk to this audience because a buying TG for the AC category would be anywhere between 25 to 55. That's probably the TG. And incidentally, we have now Gen Z consumers who are also entering that segment. Right. So now the older Gen Zs are now between 25 to 24 to 29, or that's broadly where they are. So they've gotten into the job. If in their first job, 1 or 2 years into their first job, they tend to buy appliances, right? So that it's important to address that audience as well. And we said, let's we address Gen Z in a certain manner. So when I said that we have humor, but we are slightly more sharper when it comes to Gen Z. We're slightly different when it comes to other audiences. So this is broadly where we said, can we have one which can also connect with a slightly younger audience? And that's broadly where we set a digital campaign. And this is targeted only to a very, very small base, of consumers in the 21 to 29 kind of age bracket. Tier 2 and tier 3 markets, and even tier 3 and beyond tier 3, have actually been very important markets for Flipkart traditionally. We've been very strong in these markets. We have a very high or very large customer base in these markets, and hence, not only do they contribute to your existing business, but even a large chunk of my growth is coming from these markets. And it's also true because it also is aligned with what Flipkart's vision has always been, which is about ensuring that we are providing access to the entire range of Flipkart products to as many people as possible, and that's part of our vision, right? And that meant that we've expanded coverage traditionally to all parts of India. And that's where we've been able to build strength in these markets. That's when we have been able to service these markets with a good experience as well. And that, and yeah, so these are very important markets for us, both from an existing business as well as from a growth perspective. What we've done is we've two or three ways in which we differentiate ourselves. One is on the brand front, how do we be consistent? Okay. We've actually been in a phase of about experimentation for about 1 or 2 years, where we went into this journey of defining what for Flipkart could be, which meant that we would be putting out some pieces of work which might not necessarily connect with consumers, but it's also an attempt to understand what works for brand Flipkart. And that's been a journey for us for the past 2 or 3 years. And over the last year and a half, we've actually defined the brand well to say this is what works for the brand, this is what the brand stands for, and this is how we communicate with consumers. And we've been very steady on that front, and that is also helping us build a distinctive identity for ourselves. So one of the key things which helps us differentiate from a marketing perspective is to build out that distinctive identity for Flipkart, which helps us win with consumers much better. So that's one. Second is that we've identified who our key growth segments are, and our marketing right now is very focused on those specific segments to ensure that we win, because those are make or break for the category, and we want to win in those segments, and we're very focused on that. So our media spends, our creative strategy, everything is focused on those two segments. And then the third one is also the fact that we go beyond traditional marketing to actually build a whole creative program, which, to be very honest, is the largest in the country right now, in terms of sheer volume of creators, sheer volume of content, and the fact that creators are actually using that content to sell products on Flipkart, which is beneficial both for us and for them, and hence it works as an ecosystem which is self-sustaining. That takes a lot of effort to build, and the very fact that we've been able to build that gives us a bit of an advantage when it comes to marketing.